Hello, and welcome to the Gaming Perspective Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. I want to thank you to all our new listeners that will be joining us in the MP3 realm of the world, I guess. So, welcome to the Gaming Perspective Podcast. We are a podcast that goes, our recordings go live every Friday. It's part of the wider Gaming Perspective brand, where you can also find the PlayStation Perspective, as well as another upcoming series as well that will be announced soon. And don't forget, you can support the channel over on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Gaming Perspective. So, without further ado, I will introduce my co-hosts. On my left, as always, Mr. Samuel Tolbert, news editor for the Inner Circle Games Network.
Wow, that was quite an intro. Thanks, Nick. It's always good to talk games here. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Doing good for Tuesday. It's Tuesday while we're recording this. I hate Tuesdays. I'm like Garfield. I hate Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Fridays are great, though.
Lasagna. Good.
Yeah. I love lasagna. And also on my left, we have Jared from the Inner Circle Games Network as well. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be here. It's always fun to chat games with you guys, so I'm pretty excited to get going.
Yeah, and I would also like to introduce, since we are missing him this week, I also have my usual co-host, Eric Jackson from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He is MIA today with a sick wife, so wishing him and his wife the best. So we're going to dive right into what we've been playing this week. So we are going to start out with Sam. What have you been playing in a post Days Gone Platinum?
If I'm being perfectly honest, I haven't been playing all that much. I've mostly just been sticking to Apex Legends. I've been having fun with that. Apex Legends is really good. I've been unwinding after that. Okay, so the thing is, usually I would be tackling something from my backlog or maybe picking up Rage 2 or something. But the thing is, I've got E3 prep. I've got less than a month to go, and I'm organizing meetings while in addition keeping everyone on schedule at tick and whatnot. So I just don't have a lot of free time right now.
So to translate that, he has to take a whip to my back every so often, so he doesn't want to get into anything that's too time-consuming.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I need to get back into Apex Legends. I've almost got all the achievements. I want to get that knocked out. Jared, what have you been playing?
Oh, well, you know me. It's always a little bit of everything. I guess the biggest thing I've been playing this past week has been Days Gone. Other than that, I played a little bit of A Plague Tale: Innocence this morning, which just came out today. And I've been pretty impressed and very much enjoying that game so far. I'm about an hour and a bit into it. Though my save file just got erased, so I got to replay that a little bit. But I'm okay with that because the game is actually that good to play over again that far in. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into that. And then a little bit of Rage 2 afterwards, once that's knocked out.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I myself am shifting gears a bit from trying to get the Days Gone Platinum. I'm starting up to review A Plague Tale, which is... I've played about half an hour of it, so I can't really say one way or another, but the game is astonishingly beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It really took me by surprise. And this game, I think I watched a trailer a while ago. I was like, oh, this is a really cool game, and I need to think about this game. And then it's one of those games that just flew under the radar. And I just absolutely missed it. And then it was like, oh, it's coming at the same day as Rage 2. And I'm like, man, now I have both. And I'm reviewing both. So stressful but fun times ahead.
Right.
It's so great because I'm literally in a situation right now where I want to play both of them, because ID Software is like, it's like, oh, ID Software and Avalanche, so we're gonna have some awesome driving with amazing FPS mechanics. Wow, yeah. That's not my jam. If anyone's listened to the past episodes of this podcast, Plague Tale is like a super focused narrative story, and I'm really intrigued with the style of the game. It's like, I just want to play it all. I just need to clone myself, send the clone to work, and then I can play all these great games.
Your clones are very impressive. You must be very proud.
Look at him just sitting there at that desk doing nothing, just like I do all day. All right. So now that we've got what we've been playing out of the way, so to speak, we're going to jump right into our news segment. So typically we'll go through the hottest or not so hottest, or I'll dig up some rare news tidbits that people may have missed industry-wise to try to spread it across all platforms. So if you're new to the show, this is our news segment. We'll be covering a lot of different subjects. So first things first, Nier Automata has crossed 4 million copies shipped. Square Enix has released their latest financial reports. In the midst of these reports, we got an update on how multiple Square Enix games are performing. According to the Wall Street Journal, Nier Automata has crossed 4 million copies shipped. This is up 500,000 units from 3.5 million shipped, which was the number given by Square Enix last quarter. This number includes sales from the recent Game of the Yorha edition that was released on PC and PlayStation 4. The game's developed by Platinum Games. Nier Automata is available on PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One through digital only. Becomes as God Edition, and yeah. So, 4 million sales for Nier Automata. Thoughts?
Pretty good. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I'm glad it's keeping a steady pace.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely slowed down significantly, I would say. The game first came out on PC and PS4 in 2017, early 2017. It got a bit of a shot in the arm when it came to Xbox One, you know. So it's pretty good. Not bad numbers at all. And I know on the one hand, there's, like, okay, without spoiling the game if you haven't played it, it's very difficult to imagine a direct sequel. But at the same time, it's a really popular niche game, if that makes any sense. Like, it blew up. It went from being a sequel to a game that nobody played, like the original Nier sold horribly, to being something that has done very well. It's very popular. I mean, 2B is even a guest character in Soul Calibur 6. So I'm wondering if they're going to do something else with that franchise in the future. It seems a mistake to leave it alone completely. But
yeah, I agree. Actually, I mean, you kind of have to almost continue. You kind of have to continue on at this point. I would say it's just the success from it is something I think they could easily ride on.
Yeah, for sure. I've dabbled in it on PS4 and Xbox One. Put a couple hours in on both. Haven't really. It's one of those games where I really need to just dedicate the time and go back and play it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe during this like summer slump we have where there's not as many games coming out.
Yeah, that July, that late June to July period.
So. Yeah, like besides the fact that I think Wolfenstein's Youngblood comes in. Okay, never mind. It's great to see a game like this have success. And 2017 was a great year in terms of JRPGs exploding past their previous records, especially when you look at Persona 5 came out that year as well, also exceeding previous games sales expectations. And Nier Automata, I think, blew up way more than Square ever expected it to.
Probably.
Which is great. It's always great to see games do better than they're expected instead of having to see a million articles about how this game underperformed.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about Sony's State of Play now, because this was a pretty big deal leading up to it. And I've got to say, I want to give credit to PlayStation before we dive into this topic, because they're the only company I know that does a press release immediately before the event, like 3 days before the event, and went, it's 10 minutes long, we won't talk about PS5, and this is what we're going to show.
Yeah.
And people still manage to get mad about it. Like, if you went into the comment section, people are like, where's the PS5 news? Where's The Last of Us Part 2? I'm like, they literally said.
Take the blindfold off first.
Like, I don't know where people thought with a quote-unquote deep dive look at Medieval, they were going to fit a new The Last of Us Part 2 trailer or a Death Stranding trailer, or once again,
people need to accept those games aren't ready. Sorry, it's getting old repeating myself at this point.
Oh, don't worry. I was told on Twitter today that Death Stranding will go gold next week. So,
okay.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. But one of the things that obviously that stole the show, no doubt about it, was the reveal of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So we got a brand new trailer from the highly anticipated Final Fantasy VII Remake, was shown at Sony's State of Play event. Unfortunately, while gorgeous, there's not much in the way of new details that can be gleaned from watching the trailer. Unfortunately, as cool as this trailer is, we basically don't have any information, but an upside is producer, Yoshinori Kitase, I am so sorry, posted on the PlayStation blog and promised more information about the game will come next month. We're preparing to release more official information in June. We want to try something new here on State of Play by showing you this special trailer as a taste of what's to come. So, we all know Square Enix is taking over PlayStation's spot on the E3 stage, or they took their slot, their time slot, so to speak. So I would have to imagine we get a much lengthier gameplay reveal. But the question I want to ask you guys, in terms of Final Fantasy VII, before we dive into the other stuff that was announced at State of Play, is this game is still episodic. So do you think we will see an episode this year?
I think it is theoretically possible. Like, it's not impossible. It is technically possible it could happen in November, but I think it's more likely that it'll be early next year. Like, episode 1 coming out in February to March. Square Enix, according to their financials, if anyone has had a chance to go through them, basically said that they're expecting great revenue by the final quarter of the year, which in financial terms is actually the first quarter of the calendar year. So that would indicate a big game is coming out in that February to March period.
Now, for people that are interested, I went into my GameStop today to pick up Rage 2.
Right.
Final Fantasy VII Remake is now pre-orderable through their system. However, even though the game is episodic, it only comes at a full price tag.
Yeah.
And the concern that was voiced to me by the manager, who's a good friend of mine, was that his concern was that the $80 didn't cover all the episodes, which I don't think they would do that. If you broke Final Fantasy VII into 2 or 3 episodes and charged $80 an episode, that'd be insanity. But the inability, if it is episodic, to buy individual episodes is, I don't know. I don't like it. But before we move on to that topic, Jared, what did you think of Final Fantasy VII Remake, if you've had a chance to watch the trailer, and do you think we could possibly see it this year?
Well, I never actually got a chance to see the trailer.
Shame on you.
I'm sorry, okay? The only Final Fantasy I've liked is Final Fantasy 15, and I got almost 1,000 achievement points on that game. It's the only Final Fantasy I've ever played.
Okay, well, let me sell you on this then. Let me sell you on this. I haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII, but here's why I'm looking forward to it. It's no longer turn-based. It's now real-time using Final Fantasy 15-esque combat.
Sold.
Yep, like that was what sold me when I saw that it looks like it's playing like Final Fantasy 15. I'm like, yep, we're good.
I totally agree with you, because that's my only issue with the Final Fantasy games, because I don't really like turn-based combat, and I really don't like JRPGs. So when you combine like my two least favorite things together, it's not a good thing. I'm not gonna play it. So when it was Final Fantasy 15 came out with the real-time combat and the type of environment they had, I was actually like really into that game. It was a lot of fun. It was fantastic the way they did it. So if this remake comes in any sort of fashion, the same way that 15 came out, hey, I'm all on board for it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I'm not a Final Fantasy fan by any stretch of the imagination, but
I'm not either.
This remake, it takes a lot of guts to be able to take a game like Final Fantasy VII, which many consider a masterpiece, and then changed the game. Like when they say it's a remake, everyone thought it was going to be a ground up remake, but they're redoing the entire game. It's almost a whole new game outside of the story. And even then, I've heard they're taking creative liberties with the story. So I'm interested to see when this game launches, especially in it'll launch in episodes. I'm interested to see how people that really, really, really love the original Final Fantasy VII, I'm wondering how they will react to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I think my biggest problem with this is I feel like this announcement could have waited until E3 because they didn't really show us anything new.
Yeah.
This game was shown off at E3 2017?
No, 2015 is when it was announced.
Oh God, 2015. Okay, I was giving them a while. So this game was originally showed off at E3 2015. It's gone dark, and now it comes back, and we get I'm not going to say a very similar trailer, but a similar in length trailer for it with a promise of more information in June, which is great to drum up hype. But I feel like if Square comes on to it comes to an E3 stage, and says Final Fantasy VII Remake first episode drops in 2020, but they don't specify a window or a date, I don't have a lot of faith in it. Like, that's just where I'm at with this, is like, you disappear off the face of the earth. The only thing we've heard about the games is the rumors that they had to restart for all like fresh.
Oh yeah, it's no longer been done in Luminous Engine, which was that big, expensive engine they developed for Final Fantasy 15. It's now in Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah. So they had to start over fresh. So it makes me really wonder, yes, if we get the first episode in 2020, say spring 2020, how long are we waiting for the next episode? And could we possibly be at risk of running a Telltale situation? I'm not saying Square Enix is going to close, but I'm saying the project runs into problems and gets delayed inevitably, and you drop $80 but only get the first episode. There's a lot of risk being taken on this, and Square needs to clarify. Like, I think if they're smart, and like, this is assuming that this game's mostly done, is that they go first episode spring, second episode summer, third episode fall or winter. Like, they cannot
drag this out.
They cannot afford to drag this out. Like, people are pissed at Life is Strange because they're taking so long to release all the episodes for Life is Strange 2, because it's taking I think it's basically almost 10 months, I think, to get all the episodes out. And people are like, that's too long to get the whole story. So,
oh boy.
So I'm wondering how Square's going to handle this. It's all up in the air right now. We'll find out more in June. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that was at State of Play, because there were some small, cool things that were at State of Play that not a lot of people talked about, which sucks, because I've been very critical of Sony because I love the direction they had in 2013, 2014, and that time frame, because they gave such a spotlight to indie and smaller developers. They gave them such a platform with PS4. And they kind of dwindled on that in the past few years. And it was sad, because I really enjoyed how much they cared about these smaller titles. So one of the things I really want to give them props for with State of Play is how they're showing off some of the smaller games. I want to take a minute to talk about Away, the survival series. It's announced for PlayStation 4 and PC. So essentially, it's a game. You basically are in the wild. You're a sugar glider, and you have to survive in the wild through a storm and whatnot. Can't think of a game anything like it. So I'll just break it down quickly, as described on the website. is the game is set to immerse yourself in nature, watch the world around you come to life as you explore a rich diversity of stunning environments and uncover hidden life that lies deep within the forest, caverns, and swamps. Become the sugar glider sitting near the bottom of the food chain. The sugar glider makes up for its small size with superior agility as you jump, climb, and glide through your surroundings. Explore a rich ecosystem from tiny insects to mighty beasts. The world of Away is filled with animals of all shapes and sizes, but you must be cautious as dangerous predators await in these troubled lands. And the enchanting musical score, having worked with hundreds of major game and movie soundtracks, including Planet Earth 2 and Life Nature documentaries, Mike Rasnick brings his experience as a multi-award winning composer and audio director to Away with an enchanting orchestral score. I know this game's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but damn it, did it look cool. And, like, this is the kind of stuff I love. Like, it's actually from former Ubisoft developers. It's actually a Montreal-based studio that's making this game. And it's really cool to see these small games. Another one that was showing off was a game called Riverbond? Riverbond? I'm going to say it's Riverbond. Mm-hmm. It's bad that I can't remember the names here. But it was a dungeon crawler, but the big thing about it was that it's couch co-op. It's a couch co-op indie game featuring voxel art design, and it just looks super cute, but also super gory at the same time. It just looks like a lot of fun. And, like, yeah, I know people are really on the hype train to get, like, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima news and stuff like this. But I love this little stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Did you think this state of play was terrible? Do you guys think it was better than the first? I think it was miles better than the first one. And that's just because I don't own PSVR, so the first one was
redundant. It was definitely better. The reintroduction of Final Fantasy VII and finally focusing on smaller games again after Sony really hasn't done that in a long time, that was a good idea. So I like that.
And well, I actually didn't watch either one.
I don't know what I expected.
I was working, okay? I'm sorry.
Shame.
No words. Just no words.
No words, only shame.
Let the crickets speak.
No, I think it was a really good show, and I definitely think that Sony can being able to use these state of plays very typical, very much to the same degree that Xbox uses Inside Xbox and Nintendo uses Directs. This is a really great direct way of communicating with fans. The only criticism that I had with this particular show was that I feel like they could fill it in a little bit, and trying to find the balance is really hard, but filled in with a little bit of talk, because it felt extremely robotic and impersonal, just going trailer to trailer with a small voice clip in between. Like, I'm not saying you need to drag it out to the point that Inside Xbox was, where it's like an hour and a half show with dev talks and everything else. But it kind of would have been cool to see, like, them give the Away developers like 2 minutes to talk about their game, since it's such a weird pitch. I don't know. That's just where I'm sitting with State of Play. I think it's a really good thing. I definitely love this is a game. This is when it's coming out. This is when it's really, it's good. There's just that little bit that I want.
Ooh. Good.
Yeah, so that's Sony's State of Play right there. Now, we're going to jump into a topic that I know Sam's excited about. So, it was revealed, Wolfenstein Youngblood's cover was revealed about a month and a half ago, I'm going to say. And the first thing that I noticed was in the cover, there was a credit to Arcane on the cover, which maybe they shared it earlier and I didn't realize it or anything else, but I did not realize that Arcane was working with Machine Games with this upcoming game. Well, which we've come to find out, there's going to be a lot more arcane influence coming into the Wolfenstein franchise in terms of Youngblood anyway. I can't speak for the future, but Wolfenstein Youngblood, according to executive producer Jerk Gustafson, will feature level design similar to the Dishonored series and will contain more activities and side missions than previous Wolfenstein series. Via Gamebolt, Gustafson spoke to the official PlayStation magazine July 2019 issue to discuss these changes. I think players will see a lot of similarities to level design of the Dishonored games, so in that sense it can be a little bit different as an experience, but it can be for the benefit of the game, especially when it comes to finding different ways of approaching combat scenarios or a mission in general.
Good.
Gustafson also went on to explain that while the game does put a great focus on story, the campaign is a bit shorter than previous entries and the amount of gameplay time is greater. The open-ended structure and co-op aspect has made it a little bit more difficult when it comes to the narrative. We do think we have a strong story, but it's quite different from what we have done before. It's a bit lighter, not only in tone, but also when it comes to the amount of content. I think that's the big change when it comes to previous titles. The campaign is a bit shorter, but the amount of gameplay time is greater.
Okay.
And as for those that don't know, the game is focused around BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters and alternate universe's 1980s Paris, and allows for full co-op. If you buy the deluxe edition, you can. I believe it works like a way out, and your friend can play with you for free. I believe. So, is anyone excited for this? I'm going to let you guys talk about it because I could gush about Wolfenstein till my mouth falls off.
It's a Wolfenstein game, and its weaknesses are being rectified by Arcane. Yes, I'm excited. I'll hold myself back because I could rant for a while. I'm very excited about this, and it's pretty cheap too. It's only $30 since it's a shorter game. Perfect. Absolutely. That sounds like a great summer co-op game for me.
Sam said it all, honestly, because it's like, how can you not be excited? If you've played the Dishonored games at all and know how those level designs work and how open-ended they are, and then put that into a Wolfenstein game, like, damn, that's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for that, especially for being such a cheap title, too. So I'm all on board.
Yeah, I love the fact that the director comes out and goes, we don't have as much story content as always. And I'm sitting there going, that's fine. You're also not charging me the same price as the other games.
Yeah.
This is fine. I love the clarity that's coming from the developers in terms of this game, and I'm really excited for the whole premise. Doing a spin-off game like this, I love that Bethesda's studios, Bethesda, the publishing arm, I love the fact that they give these companies the flexibility to do this because these standalone expansions are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know where it falls in Sam's ranking, but I know that Eric told me that like Death of the Outsider is on par, if not better than the first two Dishonored games in different ways.
It corrects some what mild complaints were left. It corrects. I'll put it out like that.
And I feel with Arcane Studios, they never get the credit they deserve. I'm not saying that because like the Dishonored games have always done well review wise, and they have sold well, not amazing or blockbusters, but they've sold decently. But I still feel like they're such an underappreciated studio, and how Prey was treated on its launch. Like, I didn't play Prey at launch because I was broke. I couldn't afford the game. Actually, if people followed me on Twitter back in the day that Prey launched, I tried to do like a transmutation thing. I took all my Bethesda published games and made like a pentagram thing and tried to like summon Prey. Didn't work. Someone blamed me for Fallout 76 2 years later. So, but regardless of that fact, I ended up playing it on Sam's recommendation. And there's so much if you go play an Arcane game, I don't care if you play Prey, I don't care if you play Dishonored, the first one, the second one, Death of the Outsider, I don't care where you start, but go play it because not only do they have some of the best narrative design, their level design is on a whole different level in terms of verticality, secrets, it just everything. It's such an old school way of designing video game levels. It reminds me very much of the old Thief games. I'm not talking about the one that came to Xbox One and 360 and PS3 and PS4. I'm talking about the old good ones. It's such a unique style of game. The lesson is you need to go buy Arcane games. You need to buy all of them. You need to support the hell out of that studio because they do amazing work. And that's pretty much it. And Machine Games, I don't know. How do I put this? Wolfenstein 2, my only complaint with Wolfenstein 2 as a whole is it was a game that made you feel like an infallible badass that could die in 2 bullets.
That was my one real complaint about Wolfenstein 2 is it's way too easy to die, and not only that, it's a two-parter, but that game's one real issue is it's not good at telling you where damage is coming from.
Yes.
It's very, very poor at giving you feedback.
If you break stealth and then all of a sudden start getting shot in the back, you spend more time looking for the guy than you do hitting him, and most of the time you'll die before that. Especially in the later levels, you die really fast. Like I was not playing on Mein Leben. I was playing on, I guess what would be considered the medium difficulty in Wolfenstein, but hard on every other game. And that courthouse was the most frustrating level. And then when I was sitting there thinking about it, going, someone's trying to do this on Mein Leben right now. And has to restart the whole game whenever they die. I'm like, yep, nope, I'm good. It is also important to note that they have heard feedback. Machine Games has had feedback, and they have determined that Mein Leben difficulty will not have achievements or trophies tied to it.
Good choice. That way the insane challenge is there, but for those of us who like our achievements, we're not held back.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yay!
Yeah, because not only, like, I loved it, because when Wolfenstein 2 came out, I remember all my achievement trophy hunting friends were like, oh, we can totally do this. They blasted through all the achievements, left Mein Leben for last, and then we're like, oh, okay. Basically, I think there's like 16 people have the achievement, according to True Achievements.
Jeez.
Yeesh.
I think there's a live stream floating around of a guy speedrunning it. It still takes like 6 hours to complete speedrunning.
Wow.
So it's one hell of a length game to not die in. Like, you tell anyone you can play an FPS game, but you can't die. Like, imagine doing even like Uncharted on Crushing without dying. Like, you just want to bang your head off a wall. You hit Uncharted 4, you hit the shipyard. You have to do that without dying. Okay. It's just not going to happen. So it's cool they got feedback on that, because I remember posting the forums and people were like, we need the Mein Leben achievement to be pulled. There was even like a petition going to get it like removed from the game. And then when they added the Wolfenstein 2 DLC, they added Mein Leben difficulty achievements for all of the DLC packs.
It's like, sorry guys, not happening.
So if you're a trophy and the achievement nut, you can rejoice. Wolfenstein Youngblood does not have Mein Leben difficulty tied trophy or achievement, because I think they realized that someone would probably commit homicide trying to do Mein Leben difficulty with a co-op partner. You imagine that your friend dies and then you have to start the whole level over? Doesn't even have to be your fault.
Jeez.
How to ruin a friendship in 5 steps.
Right.
So, for our discussion topic today, because it's been a really short news week of credible news, it's important to clarify that, and especially if you're a first-time listener, I generally try to filter out ridiculous rumors. When this podcast goes live, technically today, we got a Splinter Cell rumor that was quote-unquote leaked, but
we're not talking about that.
We're not talking about it, and it's just not believable enough. I refuse to talk about Splinter Cell until it's physically in my hand. Not a reveal, not anything like that. No, it physically has to be in my hand. I won't believe trailers, nothing. You've led me astray for too long. So our big discussion topic for this week. I've been seeing people on social media. They've been talking about their Mount Rushmore of whatever the hell social media wants to talk about, whether it's movie directors, everything else. So I thought it'd be kind of cool if we kind of got a list of your guys' top 4 developers. Your 4 all-time favorite developers.
See, that's not easy.
I don't know why. I gave you guys like 20 minutes before the show went live to look at the topics list. So I don't know why you guys are complaining.
Well, I've got 3 out of 4, so there.
All right. So how would you guys like to do this? Do you want us to go through the whole thing or do it like we did last week where we go one person at a time?
I think
like
one person at a time. Yeah.
One person at a time. So one studio, then next person, one studio, then next person.
Yep.
That way we don't have to monologue a list. All right. Yeah. So since Jared's bragging about having 3 out of 4 picked, he can go first.
Oh, thanks, man. Jeez. All right. Well, I think my first pick would have to be Bungie Studios, just because they breathed life into the Halo franchise and they've really kind of gone on their own way into, in my mind, a good direction, because I'm a Destiny fan. I know there aren't a lot of us out there, but we're out there. Destiny it's a pretty good game, and it really shows the type of ambition that they have, but I think they kind of went over bounds a little bit, but for what they're capable of and for the size of studio that they are, they can truly achieve some great things, and they have achieved some great things. So they're definitely probably one of my top studios out there, my top studio out there for sure.
Right on, man. I can respect that pick. I can respect that. Sam, how about you?
CD Projekt Red.
Wow.
Why one of us was going to pick that?
How surprising, right? How incredibly, stunningly shocking, right?
Yeah.
Who could have predicted this? No, seriously, look, I'll just get out of the way. They got better with every game. Witcher 1 was a great first attempt for a small fledgling studio. Witcher 2 is good. It's really good. And then Witcher 3 is still the game of the generation. Cyberpunk looks like it might be the only thing that could dethrone it. What do you want me to say? They're masters of their craft.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that.
Oh, you just can't.
Well, my first pick should come as a surprise to nobody at all. My first pick's ID Software. And there's so many reasons why ID Software is my top pick. Whether you're looking at because they're the creators of Doom, they're the creators of Wolfenstein, the creators of Quake, creators of just about any FPS game that was relevant in the 90s, they made. And not only did they do that, is that the developers that worked and founded ID Software went on to make more studios. Machine Games is from creative minds that from ID Software. And it goes on and on and on. Like John Romero had a great career with Doom, and he's still releasing free mod updates for that. The Carmacks are still making games. Like ID Software is just top tier, and Rage 2's reviews are a testament to that, because reviewers are literally saying we could tell what parts ID Software did.
Mm-hmm.
They're phenomenal. There's no one that does first-person shooters better. And I'll fist fight anyone that says otherwise.
That's fair, man. That's fair.
Yeah, completely fair. Sort of.
Criticism coming from the Destiny fan. I don't need this.
Touche, sir.
It's actually ironic, because I think outside of ID Software games, I think the original Destiny has some of the best first-person mechanics in a shooter ever.
So good.
Even though I hate Destiny to the core.
Okay.
So, Jared.
The mechanics. All right. Pick number 2. Going big time. Insomniac Studios. I don't need to say much on that one, honestly. Like, they speak for themselves with what they produced, especially with Spider-Man recently. Yeah, I'd go with Insomniac Studios as number 2.
Yeah, they've got a lot of variety in their library. There are so many different IPs they're responsible for, and if someone
good too, like it's up there. It's always usually pretty consistent.
Yeah, Insomniac has this thing where basically, from my memory, in recent memory, I can't look back on any of their games pretty much in the past decade where I'm like, yeah, that was a bad game.
Exactly.
Like, the Ratchet and Clank games have their hits, have their misses, like any franchise that's been that long running. The Resistance series was good end to end, in my opinion. Spider-Man was great. Sunset Overdrive is the best game that's never going to get a sequel.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But, yeah, that's a solid pick, man. I got so much love for Insomniac. Sam.
Okay, so next pick, nowhere near as obvious, but still, for anyone who knows me, this shouldn't be surprising. Arcane Studios. Arcane understand level design to a T. They understand how to properly construct narrative, and they are masters of environmental storytelling. There is so much depth to the Talos space station in Prey, and how, there's roses left on someone's desk, or a pop machine that's been knocked over, stuff like that, and there is storytelling in that. They're not just randomly spewing items and codexes all over the place. They're telling you a mystery story just through the way certain things have happened, and you can retrace those steps and find out more about NPCs that have an incredible role to play, even though you never meet them in the game. That's not easy to do. Look at Dishonored. Do I even need to talk about how many videos there are of, you can 1,001 ways to kill this person, or 100 ways to assassinate this target? Like, it's incredible. You can poison someone, or you can knock them off a ledge, or you can make their guard hallucinate, or possess a rat that has a bomb attached to it that then walks in and blows up. There's so much different stuff you can do, and that's just for one little area in the first Dishonored game. Your first assassination target, really. Dishonored 2, and then Death of the Outsider as well. Yeah, Arcane are another of my top tiers for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely respect I'm a recent conversion. Like, I didn't play Arcane games last generation. Like, I am late as hell to the party on Arcane. But I am living for them, and I can't wait to see what else they've got up their sleeves, whether it's sequels or new IPs, whatever. I'm there day one. You guys will get my money for at least the basic edition, if not the collector's editions going forward. All right. I guess I gotta go on now, don't I?
You do.
See, for me, this is a difficult one because the studio that made this game doesn't exist anymore. It was made in partnership with a lot of other studios. So I'm going to give my second spot to Irrational Games / 2K Games simply for the BioShock franchise. End to end, one of the best games series, like franchises I've ever played. And with one of the best endings via DLC that I've ever played. It's front to back one of my favorite franchises of all time. And it took so many risks. It was once again, if people can't figure out that I like FPS games, this is your clue here. Just the dynamics, the atmosphere of Rapture, and then being able to. I remember putting in BioShock Infinite to my Xbox 360 and going, why do we need next gen? Because that game was so beautiful. I couldn't even believe it would play on my console. Like, the first 20 minutes of that game is so breathtaking. Like, it's one of that with What Remains of Edith Finch remains two games I wish I could forget and play them again. That's where I'm staying with those guys, because
it'd be nice to have a full remaster of the BioShock games.
Like I see they did the remaster collection. It was cool. I liked it, but
a real one though, like a real rework.
Yeah, like either a remake or patch things up with Levine and bring him back, and I don't know.
What an incredibly talented writer and world builder, Ken Levine. I mean, my God.
Oh, he's got me day one with his new project. Whenever it comes out, I'll buy it. I don't even care. The story alone will probably be worth the price of purchase. Jared, your third pick.
You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Out of nowhere. Ninja Theory. Would you like to know why?
Well, sure.
All right. Well, this is the reason for me. They have such an enormous amount of potential with that studio, especially with what they've shown off with what they can do with Hellblade. Hellblade was a fantastic game. I'm really kind of disappointed in a lot of people that they didn't support as much as they should have, because that game should have sold millions more than it has. It's barely sold over 1 million, which is unfortunate. It should be upwards of 5 to 6 just for the way the game is and how they told the story, how especially with the inclusion of mental health and that being a very key factor into the character and how the story plays out and how everything interacts with her in her mind state. And to me, it was just such a fantastic game, and it showed a massive evolution and step forward into what that studio can do. Now, with the current backing of Microsoft and all that fun stuff, for me, they are quite the potential juggernaut of a studio. And out of all the ones I see right now, especially the big ones, I just see them being up there alongside like Square Enix eventually, and Bungie and all these, and Sony Santa Monica and Insomniac is one of the biggest standout studios that you will see. So that's why they take number 3.
Right on, man. I can totally get down with that. Sam, your number 3 pick.
Okay, so this is one that I recognize a lot of people are going to go, huh? This is kind of a turnaround from those first two, but I'll explain. It's Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly makes games for me and the people like me who like strategy games. Grand Empire scale, turn-based, but, for management decisions, democracy, things like that, but then real-time combat for the armies. There's no one else who's doing RTS games like that at all. And so by default, I love all the stuff they come out with. I've put so many hundreds of hours into Medieval 2, Total War, Shogun 2, Warhammer, both 1 and 2. I'm eagerly awaiting Warhammer 3. I'll probably check out Three Kingdoms when that comes out, which is, based on Chinese warfare. Not much else to say. I love them. Love their games. Oh, and they made Alien Isolation, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's such an out of out of character game for them to make.
It's almost like they got a bunch of their developers in a room. They all got pissed drunk, and they're like, "Bet you can't make an FPS game."
Oh yeah, watch this. I'll even make an Alien game that's FPS. Yeah, right.
Like that's like the only good Aliens game, isn't it? Basically,
it's one of the few. Yeah.
Yeah, because no one talks about the Gearbox one. I don't know why though. Why does anyone want to talk about alien colonial marines? I don't understand. Nobody? Okay. I'm surprised Gearbox is on anyone's list. But regardless, my next one Well, it might come as a surprise to some people, but Obsidian.
Good.
And the reason Obsidian, and before anyone jumps to conclusions, I was one of those people that didn't have to Google their prior list of games when Xbox bought them. Because they've always been a top tier studio. Fallout New Vegas is probably the best Fallout game that Bethesda never made. The storytelling in that game was way ahead of its time. It was buggy as hell, but the DLC in Fallout New Vegas is so good that you could sell the DLC alone as a game. Period. End of story. And they were the original developers behind South Park: The Stick of Truth, which, if you had told me that you could get an RPG developer to team up with Ubisoft to make a turn-based South Park game that I'd love, it would have surprised me. I don't typically like turn-based combat. I say typically because technically I played Pokemon as a kid, so technically that's turn-based. But God, that game was so good. It was, so good. And like the Outer Worlds, that comes out this year. That's like top 5 games this year. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt in my mind about it. So, last picks. Jared.
Oh boy, my last pick. See, this is a tough one because they're kind of a bit of a developer and a publisher, but mostly developer. Ubisoft. I'd pick Ubisoft. And it's hard to really pick down exactly why, because there's so many reasons as to why I would pick Ubisoft, like their game catalog, their consistency for post-game support, the amount of studios that they have, their the diversity that they have, that they can choose how many projects to work on, and just how far they've come from where they have been to where they are now has been quite a dramatic improvement over the past 10 to 15 years. Like, for example, when Assassin's Creed got first released to the world to where it is now, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Quite a dramatic change from what it was to what it currently is and what it currently evolves into. You can see you can clearly see the care and the passion that they put into their games now, more so than ever, and that gets me pretty excited because their games are getting really damn good, and there's too many damn Ubisoft games out there to keep up with sometimes.
Seriously.
It's insane.
It's first world whining, but holy crap, they throw out too many games for us.
Yeah, and you know what? They're all pretty consistently good quality games too. Like, they don't tend to score pretty low anymore, and that's a good thing to have. So for my 4th pick, I choose Ubisoft.
Yeah, you really can't argue against Ubisoft in terms of the developers behind Splinter Cell, The Division, which they've managed to turn into a successful IP, the Assassin's Creed franchise. They're still trying to make The Crew a thing. I give them credit for trying. Ghost Recon, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, the Skulls and Bones still has yet to come out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's a Ubisoft game that I Sea of Thieves Light. I don't know. God, that was a bad joke. I'm gonna edit that out. Sam, your final pick.
So this final pick is really, really tough because obviously it's like, well, what if you love this one game? It's like, yeah, but it's just one game that the studio made. That's all. Well, I don't know. So I'm going to pick Bethesda Game Studios. I know. The complaints out there against them, many are unjust, but honestly, many of them are quite qualified. Okay, it just works as a meme for a reason. Okay? And yet, they have provided me with so many hundreds of hours of entertainment with Skyrim, with Fallout 3, There's Fallout 4. In even their older games, which I've started dabbling in now, like my brother's been dabbling in with Morrowind. Like, the reality is they're popular for a reason. They're a ton of fun to play, and no one else, until now, with what Obsidian is doing, is ever really making games like them. So yeah.
There you go. Good pick.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Really can't argue with that. So, my final pick is it's hard for me because I feel like I'm shunning a tons of games. Like, I could pick BioWare for the simple fact they made Baldur's Gate, even though I think a lot of their RPGs I find mediocre. But that's a conversation for another time and a Sam seizure for another episode. But I really, really has to go to IO Interactive. It's two-way tie. Sony Santa Monica and IO Interactive. But I can honestly say I've put more time into Hitman as a whole franchise than I did with God of War, which is impressive in itself. IO Interactive, the Hitman has such a close, it's such a great game. Hitman Blood Money was it was one of the first video games I ever played with my wife. She'd be like, go strangle that guy, and I'd go strangle that guy. I don't know. It's a great game series that not a lot of people play. And I wish more people would go out and try out Hitman, because I legitimately believe the reboot of the franchise with Season 1 and then Hitman 2 are two of the best and most polished games they've ever put out. And more people need to play them. And I honestly believe, and I've been saying this for 6 months on Twitter, and I will put it on this podcast right now, when Microsoft buys them next month and announces it at E3, all you bandwagon fans can get off this wagon. This is an IO Interactive respect wagon, and I've been on this wagon a lot longer than a lot of other people. So get in line. I joke about this all the time, but it was so frustrating when Obsidian got bought, and people were like, "Oh yeah, Obsidian." I'm like, "Do you even know what games they made? Do you?" And they're like, "Yeah, this one." I'm like, "No, that's a published one. That's not a developed one." Oh, it's just frustrating. But IO Interactive is absolutely love them, and of course, I have to give a shout out to Sony Santa Monica because God of War, chef kiss.
Oh yeah.
That was the one I was struggling with.
There's two there. I want to talk about this just briefly before we wrap up. There's actually one pick from each of you that I was surprised that didn't end up on your lists, that I had on your lists in my head.
Oh, really?
Okay, so what was it?
I had Sam down for Remedy.
It was close. It was really close, man.
And I had Jared down for Blizzard.
Worst part is that they never even came to mind. Sorry, guys. Sorry for saying I love you.
That's because everybody has a mobile phone, Jared.
Yeah.
God, that joke is going to get old. So yeah, those are our top 4 games. Or developers. Sorry. And we always like to have a discussion topic that kind of takes away from the news, because a lot of podcast focus spend too much time arguing over the issues that gaming culture has in general and everything else. And I kind of want to use Gaming Perspective Podcast as a whole is to give you the information you want, and we give you the information, then you can do what you want with that information. I'm just giving you the information and the knowledge, and we just want to give you our opinions and thoughts on it in a condensed and semi-professional manner. And our discussion topics are always talking about video games, because this is what this is all about. This isn't about bullshit or anything else. This is just about video games, the fun we have, the experiences, and all the different things that people can have an experience in video games, because video games are such a unique medium in terms of it's something you interact with. A movie you sit down and watch and you can play on your phone or anything else. A video game forces you to sit down with controller and interact with it. And it just, there's so many developers that are pushing the medium further and further forward. It's absolutely amazing. And that's what this podcast wants to do. The goal of this podcast is to give you guys the information, maybe tell you guys about a game that you didn't know about. Like, if you guys go out and buy River Bond, tweet me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. If you guys buy that game because you heard about it on my podcast, let me know. I love hearing people buying games because they heard us talking about it and had to. Someone actually DM'd me and was like, hey, I actually bought Baldur's Gate 2 on PC and it's actually really good. I'm like, no duh, I've been talking about it for like 40 episodes. Get on the train here.
And that's what's going to end at the 40, just saying.
You wait till they announce the next Baldur's Gate that's coming. You wait. You wait till
Gate remastered. Of the remaster.
They're porting it to consoles this year. It's coming. You guys are gonna have to hear about it too. Hey Nick, what have you been playing this week?
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And more Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
And his Baldur's Gate jammies and his Baldur's Gate sheets.
No, I tried. They don't have a lot of merchandise.
You
don't make. I need a Baldur's Gate onesie.
All right.
All right. So we're going to get to our outros here. And all these guys' social feeds, anything else, Twitter, social media handles, everything else will be in the description of this video on YouTube and in the description of the video on Podbean. And I'm kind of looking for some feedback. So leave a comment or leave some feedback regarding, do you guys want timestamps? Because I will go through the efforts when I go through and edit these episodes and timestamp them if it's a feature that you guys would like. So let us know. Give us that feedback. Tweet me. DM me, whatever the case may be, communicate with us. Let us know, do you want timestamps? Because I'm more than willing to timestamp the episodes for you guys when I listen to them back and edit them. So, getting to outros. Sam, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's Tolbert. Please come hit me up. Talk to me about video games. If you're going to be at E3, please let me know. I want to go hang out with you if you have got the chance. Let's do it. Talk to me about Game of Thrones. I would love to talk with people about that right now. We're in the final season. The hype will never be this strong again. You know?
One more episode.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And Jared.
Well, you can also find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X and at TickGamesNetwork.com.
Right on. And I'm Nicholas Downey. You can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI, giving you all the tweets that you never needed to see in your life. And you can also support the gaming perspective by subscribing to us on YouTube on Undead3XVI. And you can also support this panel on Patreon at www.patreon.com/thegamingperspective. We appreciate all of our Patreons over there that allow me to upload these episodes in MP3 format. Without your support, we would not be able to reach a wider audience. So I appreciate you guys, and we've got changes coming to the Patreon that will benefit you guys that support us already. And we appreciate all of our listeners who, whether you listen to us via Podbean on YouTube or don't subscribe to Patreon, it's all optional. You will never miss any episodes on free feeds, and it'll always be that way. So thank you for tuning into the Gaming Perspective Podcast, the multi-platform gaming podcast, and we will see you guys next week.